What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to my Nerd Cave tour. I am finally getting this Nerd Cave tour done. Nerd Cave is behind me. That light's shining in, so it kind of distorts things a little bit, so you really can't see it too well. But anyway, this will probably be maybe 3 parts. I'm not sure how this is going to go. I'm going to grab the camera here in a minute and we're going to go over some things. I'm going to start at the front of the Nerd Cave and I'm just going to kind of work my way through the Nerd Cave and explain some things. A lot of things in here have meaning. Most of the things in here are something that they're Nerd Cave worthy because they deserve to be in the Nerd Cave. They have very special meaning to me. So I'm just going to start at the front of my Nerd Cave. I'm going to work towards the back of my Nerd Cave, and I'm probably going to cover like art, probably some art and things like that first, and then go into some of my collectibles, and then maybe into my electronics. Not sure how this is going to go. I'm just going to start doing the Nerd Cave tour, and we'll see how I have to chop this up and see if I have to make it into 3 parts depending on how long this video goes. So let's get started. This is the Nerd Cave dog. He is always in the Nerd Cave. Every time I'm gaming, he's laying right there on the floor, always in the Nerd Cave. He is the Nerd Cave pooch. His name is Chunky. If you watch my weekend vlogs, you know exactly who he is. And he is my English Bulldog, and I've owned him for 10 years. And he's an old boy, but he's a good boy. And I love him. Alrighty. So, this is my Nintendo NES controller rug. Up here it says the Nerd Cave. And this is a sign my youngest daughter made for me. I'm going to close the door real quick. So when you come towards the Nerd Cave, when you come into my house and you come towards the Nerd Cave, obviously you're greeted with this crooked rug. Let me fix that. So you're greeted with this rug. That's just something I stuck on there ages ago. And you're greeted with this poster. This is Acme Comics. This poster is from my favorite comic book store, which has been bought out and turned into Graham Cracker Comics, but Acme Comics was there for years, and well, 20 years. And I went there all the time. You can hear my dogs walking around on the hardwood floor with their clanky nails. So this is the poster that I have graced the Nerd Cave with. The guy from Acme Comics was an amazing dude. He knew so much about comics, and he had such a wide variety of comics. You could find anything there. And they closed. And I remember when they was closing, he told me they was closing. I spent many years at his store, and I said, dude, I need some memorabilia of the place, and I acquired this. Acme Comics, I miss you. Alright, going in. So going into the Nerd Cave, here is the Nerd Cave. A quick glimpse of what I've got going on here in the Nerd Cave. And I usually keep it dark in here. I usually have these lights on over here. Hold on a second, I'll turn them on. Let me see. Can I get those to turn on? I'm hitting the off button. There we go. So I usually have these lights on, and of course I have those lights on under there. And I like it kind of dim in the Nerd Cave simply because of all the electronics, the arcade machines emitting light, my LEDs. I got LEDs back there, which I think. Are they no, they are still on. I got LEDs back behind the shelves, LEDs on top of the shelves, LEDs under my table, and I have more LEDs to put up. So, alrighty, dogs, you gotta go out. Go out. Come on, let's go out so I can do Nerd Cave tour. So, coming into the Nerd Cave, this is kind of a quick view of it, and I'm gonna turn to here, starting things off. This is just, well, it's a printer, and it's just a simple shelf, which my Diablo has fallen. I've literally had this, I got this before I married my wife. This thing's over 30 years old. It's over 30 years old. I'm not sure why he's holding a pencil. I think it just fell off my desk. This is just something I got out of a box. It's a cartoon character. He has a brain inside his hat. And I just keep him down here. I'm going to set him to the side. I'm going to set Diablo to the side. Actually, this is a Magic the Gathering figure. Should I turn the light on? I should probably turn the light on. Let me do that real quick. Okay, so I'm not going to go over everything in this shelf. I'm just going to go over a few important things. One of the first things on this shelf is this Marvel Encyclopedia. And my daughter got me this for Christmas. I'm pretty sure it was a Christmas present. My oldest daughter, Shanna, bought this for me. I do have a video review on this that I'll link below. And this is a really, really nice book. And it has a lot of meaning to me because, well, my daughter bought it for me. Let's see. Oh, this is a Stan Lee poem that got turned into a graphic novel. And it's called God Woke. And it is absolutely one of my favorite Stan Lee pieces, and I'm a huge Stan Lee fan. I have Stan Lee memorabilia all over the Nerd Cave. I thought Stan Lee was a genius. I thought he was inspiring, and I thought he was very creative, and he inspired me in many ways. And now that he's passed on, which is very sad, I've been collecting even more memorabilia, but this is God Woke is one of my favorite Stan Lee poems, and one of my favorite things that he's ever written. And it got turned into a graphic novel before he passed away, and it's very awesome. All right, so we have this is some art. I'll go over that in a minute. Let me get through some of these. So a lot of these are just graphic novels that I stuck down here. They're not comic books-ish. They're comic books, but they're graphic novels, so they're more books. Most of my books come over here. My comic books are across the Nerd Cave. I have books in here like The Incredible Hulk. What else do I have? Oh, this is Court of the Dead. It's a poster collection book. It's basically art. It's a book full of art, which is very cool. Incredible Hulk stuff. Let me see. Just some books. Here's a book that my son got for me for Father's Day, the superhero book, and it's very cool, and it's full of a lot of cool information and things about characters, and there's some characters in this book I didn't even know existed, which is really weird. So that's really cool, very important to me. My oldest son, well, my only son, and his name is Steve as well. Let's see, what else do I have under here? I have a lot of things. Under here. I have Miles Morales, Into the Spider-Verse, Ready Player One. This is a magazine. My friend John Jansky, who is an artist and who did my paintings of Spawn, Stan Lee, and Thanos, was featured in this magazine, this rock magazine, Rock Confidential, and I just lost the spot where he was featured. Here he is. That is John Jansky with Ace Frehley, and the first time I ever worked with John was at an Ace Frehley concert, and it was probably that particular concert right there. I got to meet Ace. I got to be backstage, side stage, on stage, everywhere I wanted to go at this concert, and I was doing work for John and Ace, and doing some video work. And I know the light flashing is throwing things off, but John is the one to your left, obviously, and Ace is the one to the right, and John is a phenomenal artist, and he got featured in this magazine, which is very cool. And these postcards came with the magazine of some of John's work. These little postcards went into the magazine, so very, very cool. Something I cherish, and I cherish John's friendship, and I'm glad that he's doing so well. So there's that. Let's see, we got just some Joker graphic novels. What else we got here? Just some stuff. Yeah, just some books and things in here. Here's something that I'm going to share with you, though. Let me grab these and talk about this a little bit real quick. So these comic books, it's a bunch of comic books in kind of binder plastic to protect them. These comic books are from a friend of mine who I've known most of my life. I've known this gentleman for the biggest portion of my life, and he used these comic books for inspiration to draw, and he brought them to me one day And he told me he can't read them anymore because he's losing his eyesight. His vision's failing, and he's losing his eyesight. Well, the sad thing about it is, he's an artist, and he's losing his eyesight, so he's starting to not be able to draw anymore. And to me, that's very sad because he's inspired me through my whole life. He's the reason that I took up drawing. He's the reason that one of the reasons I got into comic books. He inspired me to draw, and he pushed me to draw and do the best I can. He told me that everyone's an artist, no matter their art style, no matter what. If someone's trying to put something on paper or something on video or write words or make a movie or whatever, you're an artist. And those words inspired me that no matter how crappy I thought my drawings were when I was younger, and a lot of people loved my drawings, I kind of thought they were crappy. No matter how crappy I thought my drawings were, my friend, and I call him Kong, and he earned that nickname by climbing a giant tower, a very tall tower, and the name has stuck with him for a long time, and that's all I've ever known him by, so we call him Kong. His name is Jim. He inspires me. He inspired me to be an artist. He inspired me that no matter what I felt about my art, it was still art, and that art comes in many mediums, and art comes in many styles, and art should be loved by everyone, and he's a good guy. He's a good guy, and he's losing his eyesight, which is he's losing the ability to draw, and that's very sad to me. To him, he's it's another stage of life, and he's very positive in that way. But he brought down some of his comic collection to me, comics that inspired him to draw, and he said, I want you to have these. I can't read them anymore. I can't hardly see anymore. And I thanked him from the bottom of my heart. He has given me many gifts over the years, not just inspirational gifts or words of wisdom or just his caring and his love. He's given me other gifts as well. But this, me being a comic book lover of comic books and a lover of good art, he gave me these, and I'll cherish these for forever. I don't think my friend Kong really knows how much he's inspired me. He's very humble when it comes to his artwork. He's very humble, and I don't think he realizes how much his art and his abilities inspired me, and just his kind words over the years have inspired me. So Kong, if you're watching this video, and I think that you probably will be, thank you. Thank you very much just for being you. So, alrighty, so that's going to take care of this shelf for a second. But I do have some artwork here that I want to go over. I have this is like a drawn, and there's Stanley. This is a hand-drawn cover of X-Men Prime. And I think I have the original artwork down here as well. Here it is. And here's the original artwork for this cover. And as you can see, I have the original artwork for this cover, and this was some concept art that I don't know if this cover came to a fruition and got colored and became a cover, but it's #1 X-Men Prime, and I have the original artwork encased in plastic for that. I have an Avengers concept cover. These are signed by the artists, this is a concept art cover, unfinished. Avengers lettering and stuff wasn't done, but this is a concept, an idea for an Avengers cover featuring Stan Lee. I also have this artwork for a comic book cover as well. You can see in the back that there were sketched in some people that didn't quite get finished, and there's art, or there's information on the back, this information card on the back about the artist that did these. So some of these have information on the back, an information card about the artists who did these works. So that's cool. And then I, over here, tucked beside my shelf, I know the light's throwing the camera off a little bit, I have some other art. I do have this, which is very interesting. This is Life magazine from 1965, when the lights went out in New York. And it's the full story in there, and it's in really good condition. Not great condition because it's got some wear and tear in the corners and stuff, but my daughter bought this for me. My oldest daughter, Shayna, bought this for me, and it's a good story. I read it about the one the lights went out in New York City on November 9th, 1965. And there's other stuff in there, old ads and things like that, but this is a very cool piece. Very cool thing to have, Life magazine. Alright, so, and then I got a bunch of other artwork. I collect loads and loads of original artwork that gets signed by the artists. I attend a lot of conventions. This is a screen print piece that's signed, and for some horror art. This is signed by Jimmy Mack, Jim McMahon, 1985 Bears. He signed this to me because I was doing a video shoot at that golf club that he attended, that golf outing he attended, and he signed that to me. And Jimmy Mack is one wild dude. And just some other artwork. This is signed by Ari Lehman. First Jason, Ari Lehman. He signed this. He was very impressed by this piece. He said he's never seen this before, and it looks very old. I don't think it's an original poster for Friday the 13th, but it's something, and I liked it. So I had him sign that. Cameron Johnson, a friend of mine, upcoming comic book artist and writer, signed this piece for me of Arkham Asylum. Cameron Johnson I've got a lot of his art and comic books. I have this piece, which is Thy Neighbor, which is a piece of comic book, or a comic book that Cameron Johnson wrote, and I bought the artwork to it plus the comic book, Thy Neighbor. He is now working on what's it called? I can't remember the name of his new comic book. Dang it, sorry. So here's another piece signed by Ari Lehman. More artwork. First Jason. I have a Skeletor piece signed by the artist right down there of Skeletor, obviously, and another Skeletor piece signed by the artist. I have these horror pieces signed by the artist. These were actually signed to my daughter, and she wanted me to hang on to them so nothing happened to them. And I have this piece of art, plus I have art all over the Nerd Cave. But this is what I have stashed down here by this shelf. And now I gotta get the shelf back together, and we'll move on to some other stuff. Alrighty, so since we're talking about artwork and art pieces and things like that, and a lot of that in that shelf down there was about art and creativity and things like that, I'm going to go over the art in the Nerd Cave before I go over the figures and the electronics and all that stuff. And the whole layout of the Nerd Cave is completely different. I have so much more room in here now, and I didn't have to get rid of anything. So anyway, let's go over some artwork and some art pieces and some things like that that I've acquired over the years, partly from working as a videographer, meeting artists, going to conventions, doing video shoots and promos for conventions. I did a lot of that stuff. I worked for a company called Mega Events where I did a lot of charity events, but I also worked as a freelance videographer for 3 years. And during that time, I met a lot of really cool people. I attended a lot of conventions. I shot a lot of promos for conventions, which allowed me to get into the conventions for free. I even earned a lifetime entry into a convention, Tomcat Comics convention, for life. I never have to pay to get in that convention ever again. I have the card in my wallet they sent to me that gives me entrance into their Comic-Cons for the rest of my life for free, $0. So you meet really cool people when you're out there shooting video, and when you're very, you know, when you're very friendly, and when you work hard, and when you put a lot of effort into doing a good job for people. Not that I was looking for any other reward other than I was just trying to earn extra money for my family, and I was having a lot of fun doing it. But then I started meeting these people, then these people started becoming friends, and then I started seeing them at a lot of conventions, and I started seeing them every weekend, and then pretty soon we had a lot to talk about all the time, and we was happy to see each other. There was a lot of people at these conventions, they would stand up and hug me when I approached their table because they just seen me last week and they were happy to see me again, and I was happy to see them. I made a huge friendship along the way, and along the 3 years. 3.5 years, I would say, that I was doing videography. I don't do it anymore. Freelance no more. I've given up the videography for full-time graphic work. I do, which I've been doing for 16 years. So again, this next segment of the Nerd Cave tour is near and dear to me because I'm an artist. And according to my buddy Kong, I am an artist. I never considered myself an artist until he gave me his words of wisdom. All right, so let's go into some of this artwork. First of all, on the ceiling here, that my buddy Kong drew of me. So he drew that image of me. I asked him to, I commissioned him to do it, and he did it, and it was awesome. This is a signed piece from a comic convention. This is a book by Pete Altieri, and I did his website and some video work for him, and then unfortunately we parted ways in the way of business. I'm not going to go into the details. Stan Lee art, signed by Stan Lee. This is from the show Incredible Hulk, signed by Stan Lee. I love you, Stan. And then I've got a lot of artwork, and these are pieces that I acquired through conventions. These are people that I met. They've signed them to me. To Steve, Try and Survive the Night. To Steve, Live in the Night. I mean, this particular guy signed a lot of pieces to me. That is one of my favorite pieces there, Masters of the Universe. And then a lot of this was from a local artist that I acquired at Acme Comics. Some of them are kind of hidden behind my arcade machines. This is a signed Son of Batman poster. This my wife got me, and it's very huge, and it's framed separately of Flash. He is one of my favorite DC superheroes. I have a Ratfink piece over here, hiding behind my Spider-Man. Jeff Gaither is a friend of mine, and I've been a long time fan of his, and I geeked out a little bit when I met him, but we became friends, and he's had a lot of kind words to say to me and my videography work over the years, and I appreciate him very much. And that's another Gaither piece back here. This is a piece that my best friend Wes drew for me of Flash, and he did a phenomenal job. I'm trying to get in there so you can see it. And there's that piece. I have various other posters and things going on. There's a Spider-Man poster. My grandson is a big Spider-Man fan, and so am I. Obviously, my Stan Lee very first original John Jansky piece that he ever did for me for my birthday, and I love it, and I love John, and I think he's a phenomenal artist, and I'm so inspired just to be surrounded by his work. Many more pieces. That's a Jeff Gaither. A lot of these are signed by the artist, and it's a lot of horror art that I have hanging on the walls. My Spawn Jansky piece. Some of my friends laugh and say, you know, one day you're gonna have like just a Jansky museum of all your Jansky pieces in like the west wing of your mansion, which I'll never live in a mansion, but it's just a joke. Spawn Jansky piece. This is the newest piece I required for my last birthday. Love it. This is a poster that my son bought for me because he knows how much I love the Heath Ledger Joker. And I actually have this. Is a Boomerang replica signed by Heath Ledger and Christian Bale from the Batman movie, and it's signed by the actor, so that's really cool. And then moving over, this is a poster my son got me. He buys me a poster every year. I got some out in my studio, but this is one of the first ones he bought me, and I framed it and I keep it in here always. I think that's funny. It's just a Jason Voorhees thing. It says this community protected neighborhood watch. And then down here is a business partner of mine, Zach Stork. He runs Zach Stork Pro Photography. He was a photographer for Michael Jordan and LeBron James. He and I worked together for the 3 years that I was a videographer. We did a lot of events together as a team. We had Real Image Media Solutions was our company, and we worked together under Real Image Media Solutions and worked for mega events and loads of charity events. And we was working a haunted house, and he had snapped a lot of pictures of the haunt, and one of these pictures was one of my favorites that he snapped of an actor, and I turned it into kind of a movie poster called Faces of Death, and everybody that was there signed it. So I've got it signed by Gaither, I've got it signed by Robert Mukes from House of a Thousand Corpses, I got it signed by Bishop Stevens, Walking Dead, Robert Lasargo. There's loads of signatures on there of people that was at this convention that signed this to me, and Zach actually took this poster around and had them sign it to me because I had to leave the convention early at that point. So here is a John Jansky lithograph of Ace Frehley, and there's the ticket. When I did my very first video shoot was for Ace Frehley and John Jansky. It is signed to me by Ace, and it is signed to me by John in silver. Plus, it has his lithograph signature on there. But so there's another Jansky piece that I added to my collection, and here is another Jansky piece that my wife did for me. I am a huge fan of Thanos. Thanos is my favorite Marvel supervillain. And John, this piece blows my mind. It's so good, and one of my favorites. All Jansky pieces are my favorites. So that's my other Jansky art piece, which I love. John, you're amazing. You probably never see my videos, but I love you, bro. And then over here is a print. This is, and I have a video on these figures. This is artwork for that figure up there. And I have these figures displayed. These are made by a guy in my state of Illinois. He's from Pana, Illinois, and I support his work, and his figures are incredible. And there is a video on that which I will post in the description. So that covers a big portion of my artwork. I do have a lot of other artwork stashed and put away, as you've seen down there, and I have other artwork that I have put away. I've collected too many pieces. I can't display them all. So, but I'm very proud of my Jansky pieces. I'm very proud of my signed Stan Lee pieces. I'm very proud of my Nerd Cave. I've worked on this for a very long time, and there's a lot of stuff in here. So that covers art, and I think that'll be the first segment of the Nerd Cave tour, going over my art and you know, some of the sentimental stuff I showed you on that shelf, and that'll cover the first segment of the Nerd Cave tour. And I'm going to post another one right away of going just over all the random stuff on my shelves and all the random stuff around here, and then then the next segment after that will probably be going over my electronics, my computer, my maybe I'll do the computer and the electronics in the next segment, because there's some really cool stuff I'm excited to show you. I'll probably do that next, and then I'll go over the figures, because that's going to take longer. Anyway, that's going to end this segment, guys, of the Nerd Cave artwork, and come back to the next video of, I'm going to go over my electronics, my arcade machines, my computer setup, some really cool other things that I really want to show you guys. I'm super excited about. So I'll see you on the next one. Nerd Cave Tour number 2 coming up.